I'm Rebecca Zarch, Alan Peter Freund. We've been working to do the overall synergy evaluation since the start of the project, which has been really fun, actually. So many of you I've spoken to on the phone or harassed by email to fill out surveys. Thank you very much. It's been great. And we are from Sage Fox Consulting Group. So what this session we're going to do is better understand what types of evidence you need for successful scaling and how to use evaluation for scaling. And you'll also get to know each other a little bit better. Now, this activity is set up so that everyone can participate, even if you are not directly affiliated with the center. I'm sure everyone in there are here because they do something professionally that's interesting and they can speak to. So we are going to work in your triads, and the first thing you are going to do, everyone is going to get a chance to present, and people should all listen well and speak well, is take a Post-it that Alan is passing around, and in 3 or 4 or 5 words, describe something that your center, or if you're not from a center, your organization does that's exemplary. Something you think someone else should consider doing. Oh, and just to repeat the question, it was, is it something you're already doing as part of this, or could it be something else you're doing that's interesting and others should consider that may not be directly related to your Synergy project? And that answer was yes, it could be either one. So once you've described and just 4 or 5 words, what you do, please place it on your name tag. Okay. So now, this activity is going to be very quick. Many of you already have elevator speeches. Now is the time to use them. What you're going to do is choose one person in your triad to very briefly, in 2 minutes, describe what is it your center or your organization does, what is the exemplary innovation that you have on your name tag, and then fill out this sentence. In order to achieve some objective, we do the following activity. And what makes this exemplary is that we tell your friends what you do. So you have 2 minutes to do this starting now. You have 1 more minute to present. All right, now that you're all so well informed from your presenter, those who are listening, your potential adopters or adapters, will now think of what evidence would convince you that this works, and ask the presenter.
You want to describe, in your own mind, I would need to know this works by this type of evidence. And then get into a discussion where the presenter 1 says, this is what we're doing, and then share ideas about, okay, what could be done differently from what that is. So the first step, as an adapter, what would convince me to do it? So you're telling that to the presenter. And then you're going to this step. Again, 2 minutes on this task. Go.
Okay, that's been 2 minutes. So now we're going to do this activity again. Someone else has the opportunity to present to their new friends a little bit about their innovation. 2 minutes again. It's a merry-go-round, people. It's fast. Okay, potential adopters or adapters, let this presenter know what evidence you would need to convince you to adopt or adapt this innovation. Okay, third presenter. It's your opportunity to present to now your two old friends about your innovation. Okay, potential adopters and adapters, let this presenter know, what evidence would you need to convince you that this works? Presenter, how is it currently evaluated? And together, share some ideas for the best way to evaluate. Okay, everyone. The merry-go-round is coming to a stop. Hopefully everyone had a chance to share. Okay. So, oh, thank you. So, what kind of evidence did you find to be the most convincing? Can anyone share some examples of the kind of evidence that?
So Tanya did some work with SCATE to implement their curriculum, and what she found was the first semester of the developmental students that they applied this to.
No, just this year.
Just this year.
After using it for 4 years.
Okay. The GPA of those students was the highest in the college, and then the follow-on semester they had the highest increase in GPA. So that's good evidence.
Another example? It's great.
Again, I'm going to plug Call for Papers, and one of the really neat things about this is that we get the word out to high schools, community colleges, and universities, and as a result of the workshop, there's a new level of respect among those educators. And I'm talking about the university people respecting the high school and community college folks.
So how do you document that? How do you convince somebody else of that as being evidence that you've documented?
Our evaluations, we have a pre and post eval, and typically we get comments like that, and we've been able to tailor the evaluations more and more toward getting at those questions.
Okay, so you're using qualitative surveys to document the change in attitude of the administrators.
It's not just administrators, we're talking faculty.
And faculty. Okay, good.
I was talking to Helen, and she's doing convergence, and employment data was, and talking to the employers was the kind of evidence that I needed to be guaranteed. One of her students got 8 job offers after she went through her program, so that was pretty convincing.
Okay, great. Did anyone get any new ideas in this brief session for how to evaluate their program?
Hi, I'm Billy with NanoLink, and I was talking with Nina, and she suggested that with her stuff, they do a lot of social media, and that is not something that we currently do. And so we had talked about when we contact these high schools, and these kids do the experiments in the high school with their teacher, that they could like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter and let us know how they liked it from their perspective instead of the teacher just filling out a survey.
Good, good use of social media. Another example?
Carol.
We were talking about our mentoring program and the fact that it's now distributed mentoring, and this group here said, well, do you have any pre and post evaluation? And I thought about it, and I said, no, we don't have that. And then I went, yeah, we do. We have an application process. And actually, that is a pre-evaluation, because if someone wants to put in a whole new program and there's only one faculty member, no support from administration, no business demand, we will work with them, but we don't call them a mentored college or a full member of the network. Our distributed network has now decided on these 3 levels, and I'm not sure I totally understand it yet myself, which is fine, I don't have to. But we all know, or I know at least, that if you don't have some key elements in place, doesn't matter what help we provide, you're not going to get a new program in. So in thinking about it, we actually have the pre-assessment already. We're just not necessarily capturing it in that way. So it's kind of eye-opening. Thank you all.
One more on this? Another example? Something you learned new for evidence collecting?
Okay. Well, I think Billy started touching on the next question we had, which was, does anyone have examples from where the evidence is based on data collected by or from external stakeholders?
So the example was collecting it directly from students through some type of social media.
I
Some
hear
examples
muttering,
of-
but no hands. Okay, Gordon?
I can say this. We've been working with Verizon since 1995, before the center existed. And we've also recently established a relationship with Comcast. And we do get feedback from technicians at both companies. I think Verizon, we've had about 8,000 student technicians go through the program.
Are you collecting that, or are you getting that through some other collection mechanism where they're collecting it?
We're getting the Verizon information from other sources, from Verizon, actually Verizon itself, and the Comcast work we're collecting ourselves. It's just we're just piloting with Comcast. It's very small now.
I ask that because for example, there's a lot of course surveys and student surveys at institutions where that can be a source of collecting data that's indirect about what you're trying to do in terms of it showing up as part of a broader type of evaluation.
Did anyone else want to give an example? Okay. Does anyone have any other final thoughts about how going through thinking about evidence in this way from the perspectives of someone who might want to adopt or adapt your innovation might relate to something we heard just in the prior session with Jim or otherwise throughout our meeting so far?
This is going to lead into your breakout session where you're going to get into this more locally.
Did people enjoy the activity? Too All right, good to know. All right, thanks everyone.